You're watching Newshour live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. I am Zulayatu Hamid. Coming up in this edition, police discovered the remains of a person suspected to be the Sierra Leone American citizen Massa Kaikai. Commissioner Bilbel George Will orders 5 officials of the Youth Ministry to appear before his commission. First accused in the ongoing court-martial trial, enters into the 3rd week of his testimony before a 6-member panel of senior military personnel and judge advocates. And Sierra Leone Autistic Society showcased the abilities of children with autism. All these stories and more lined up in this edition of the news. The Sierra Leone police have disclosed that the remains of Massa Kaikai, who went missing in August 2018, have been found. The Inspector General of Police and the Director of Public Prosecutions addressed pressmen at the police headquarters, Church Street, on how the remains were discovered in a hole at the residence of the deceased. Aissatou Touré has more.
It could be recalled that since August 2018, police have been investigating an alleged murder of one Massa Kaikai who was allegedly raped, strangled to death and buried in a 14-foot hole. On the 2nd of April 2019, her remains were discovered by a combined team of investigators from the Federal Bureau of Investigators (FBI) and the Sierra Leone Police. Massa's remains were exhumed by consultant pathologist Dr. Owis Koroma in the presence of law enforcement officers on the 2nd of April 2019. Director of Public Prosecution Ismon Gakwi said the information gathered so far led them to the hole where the body was found.
Except otherwise, I have no reason to doubt. Except otherwise, I have no reason to doubt that those were the remains of Massa. I have no reason to doubt because we are so systematic in getting there. We didn't just go straight. We are so systematic, they put everything in place and we got there. And you must know this. This was the last address Massa lived up to the 1st of August. That is a fact. It is also a fact that the hole was dug at the side of that house. That is a fact.
He said when efforts were made to see what was in the hole, it proved out to be a female human body. The Inspector General of Police, Dr. Richard Moigbe, explained that they have been investigating the disappearance of Massa for about 8 months now. He said Massa Kaikai of blessed memory was intelligent and a woman of substance. He expressed appreciation to the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigators (FBI), the medical doctors, and all those who have been their strong allies during the investigation that led to the identification and recovery of the body. However, the mother of Massa Kaikai was dissatisfied, saying the body discovered was not her daughter.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it was a secret, but somebody knew and did not want her in this as executive chair of small business, which is with the trade industry. I will not shut up.
Okay.
Massa is a decent young lady. Who took this lady? That body with the coroner, somebody's covering up. I'm not going to shut up. Massa traveled the world, Turkey, everywhere. She didn't go missing. Okay. But in her home country, her other sisters do the same job in Nigeria. The other one in South Korea, nobody went missing. In her own home country with family. With family. Her dad is sitting right there, smiling. He knows what happened to Massa. You ask him.
How can you say that? No. Anyway, please.
I have proof. You take his picture. I will sue this government. I will sue this man. I will sue everybody.
Full update was not given by the Sierra Leone Police as the press conference ended abruptly.
I am not going to shut up. Come and kill me then. Let him kill me. Then he solves his problem.
SLBC News, Aissatou Touré reporting.
May her gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Commissioner Bilbel George Will has issued subpoena to compel the appearance of 5 officials of the youth projects of the Ministry of Youth Affairs. Princess Gibson now reports.
The 5 officials at large are Coordinator Youth in Drainage Project, Reverend Abraham Kuruma, Finance and Admin Officer Youth in Drainage Project, Umuna Tuture, Director National Youth Village, Dr. Seri Idris Kamara, who has retired, Admin and Finance Officer National Youth Village, Masayo Mansare, who resigned in 2018, and Youth in Fisheries Project Manager Mohammed Kamara.
Compelling the appearance before this commission on the 8th of April 2019 to testify to matters concerning the Ministry of Youth Affairs in relation to the various youth projects carried out between the 2013 and 2018, thereby directed that should these persons neglect, fail, or refuse to appear as ordered above on the 8th of April 2019, then the relevant authorities shall be authorized to cause their arrest for the purposes of their appearance before this commission.
These officials are, according to Principal State Counsel, will assist the Commission with relevant information. They are to report to the Commission on 8th April 2019. Also at Commission 64. Commission Witness Managing Partner Masada Waste Management Comlin Aminata Dumbuya told the Commission of Inquiry that the total sum of 379 million loans contract with the Roads Maintenance Fund Administration is inclusive of administrative charges. Over 263 million loans, she said, was charged for administrative costs and 60 million loans for the training of youth for the project. Commission witness Aminata Dumbuya was asked to provide a breakdown of the contract and payment on next adjournment date, Thursday, 4th April. Princess Gibson, SLBC News.
First accused in the ongoing court-martial trial has entered into the 3rd week of his testimony before a 6-member panel of senior military personnel and Honorable Momoja Stevens as judge advocate. The case is between the state versus Captain Patrick Kamara and 2 others who were part of ex-president Ernest Bai Koruma's presidential guard. Patrick Salia witnessed the proceedings at the Armed Forces headquarters in Freetown.
Police Detective Superintendent Mohammed Kuba Ali, attached to the Criminal Investigations Department, tendered service passport of first accused, Captain Patrick Edwin Kamara, dated 12th May 2019 for expiration, an ordinary passport of the same accused person, dated 14th July 2019 for expiration. In his testimony, first accused, Captain Patrick Edwin Kamara, told the court that after the 2018 elections, he vacated the quarters he occupied, which was, however, outside the presidential lodge. He left on 3rd April, leaving the said premises unlocked, but there was no key to it because the door to the apartment was having a problem. So he had cause to use chain and padlock, which he bought from his personal pocket. After leaving on 3rd April 2018, Kamara said he was, however, still visiting the lodge because the president and vice were still on 24-hour security. So they were all, as security personnel, obliged to sleep at the main lodge, but in his vehicle. The date he finally left the lodge, he recalls, was when the former president left for his private residence, a date he cannot precisely recall. The first accused continued that even when he was redeployed to Lunge, he was still visiting the presidential lodge, adding that on 7th April, Brigadier General Albert Yamba Kagbo called him to do backloading of arms and ammunition that were in the stores controlled by the former president. One Forces Intelligence Officer, James Robin, from the Joint Provost Unit, was in the company of General Kagbo as witness to the backloading process of the presidential armors. He did not know who was in custody of the keys to the stores at that moment, noting that the presidentially controlled stores had 2 separate compartments, one for the arms and the other meant for ammunition, on which the backloading was done. General Kagbo gave him 2 keys for the 2 stores, while Captain Robin, accompanied by some fatigued soldiers comprising infantry soldiers as well as military police, all attached to the Joint Presidential Guard Force, assisted and witnessed the backloading.
But unlike Captain Robin, who entered with him into the stores and was there till the end of the process, the others remained outside receiving the ammunitions from the store and later transported to the Joint Logistics Unit at Moritown with thorough checks and normal proper documentation processes. The second backloading, according to the accused, was done on 13th April for the operational store, but a discrepancy was discovered on the 12.7mm anti-aircraft rounds due to the difference in packs from the different countries of origin, such as Russia and China, meaning that some tins contained 85 rounds while another contained 80 rounds. Such a complication, which was however not identified before and during issuance, was picked up by another colleague soldier who was present at the backloading and had just returned from China at the time on a special ammunition training. Training and test firing, he said, were done in 2009 and 2013, explaining further that when he was initially deployed at the Joint Presidential Guard Force in 2009, Lieutenant Colonel Sheku Sise, then commander of the team, who was captain during the period, requested for training of personnel to test fire the heavy machine guns, 12.7 and 14.5mm AA. The training, which was however to be done at the Freetown Garrison Battle School, now called the Peace Mission Training Center PMTC at Hastings, was later switched to the Armed Forces Training Center AFTC at Bengrima, because the two weapons could not be fired at range at the Garrison Battle School due to human activities. At PMTC, the 12.7mm AA weapon was mounted on a Land Rover truck and the 14.7 on an MIH truck commonly known as Daracula. From the 9mm pistol to 14.5mm anti-aircraft, including rocket-propelled grenade RPG, Camara said, were all tested and fired, meaning several different weapons were used in the test firing training exercises, and the arms and ammunitions expended were acquired from the Supply Services Squadron SSS of the Joint Logistics Unit JLU on the authority of the Commander Joint Forces, but with request from the Joint Presidential Guard Force Commander. Patrick, who along two others stands accused over missing ammunitions amounting to over 8,000 United States dollars, informed the court-martial that after the training exercise, the Joint Presidential Guard Force Commander will only be briefed if not present at the test firing. But in this case, Colonel Shekul Tijan Sise, who was their commander, was present. So the only briefing was to the Chief Security Officer to the President on the serviceability of the weapons, quantity utilized and what remains. Captain Edwin Camara also told the court that he was never accorded the right to legal representation while statements were jointly being obtained from him by the Sierra Leone Police and the Police Wing of the Army at the Criminal Investigations Department. Hearings resumed on Tuesday, 9th April, before Honorable Momoja Stevens as judge advocate and a panel of 6 senior military personnel at the military headquarters in Freetown.
Sierra Leone Autistic Society has held a session to showcase several abilities children with autism have amidst their marginalization and stigmatization. The disclosure, which was held at the British Council Hall, attracted both government officials and NGOs. The event was part of this year's World Autism Day. For more on this, let's join Joseph Tui.
Autism is a spectrum that affects how a person communicates with and relates to other people and how people make sense of the world around them. Their communication, behavior, and social skills are all impaired, and currently there is no cure for it, and its cause still remains unknown. Autism also manifests in different ways, but every victim is unique with abilities, talent, and symptoms. However, there are educational support which can help them progress and develop, though Sierra Leone is yet to have adequate facilities that cater for their socio-economic life. Having an official statistics has been one of the challenges authorities and other NGOs have faced over the years in changing the lives of people with autism, especially children. These fine painting works of art are some of the positive manifestations of what children with autism can do. This also counters the perception many have over the years to see them as not having any hope in the society. This medium was told not to film the victims because they believe they can be stigmatized by people. This gathering was meant as an eye-opener to many to intensify the campaign against stigmatization of people with autism. The executive director of Sierra Leone Autistic Society, Mary Pentimiti, in a testimony noted that some people usually have no sympathy for children with autism. She stated if they are given the ultimate care, they can give back to the society.
We know that early years development is very difficult and very challenging in Sierra Leone because most of the mainstream schools are not very equipped this time to cater for our kids. And so the early years is really not only misaligned, and it's very key because we know that the earlier you can identify the condition, the earlier you put in strategies and interventions, then the more chance that child has of progressing.
Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Emily Gogra, said the ministry has set up a special unit to address special needs. She stated that they will focus on inclusive education to give skills for the employment market. The Deputy Minister added special needs children are not excluded from the free education program. Human rights lawyer Simiti Lavali said children with autism have the right to life and maximize development as in line with the Child Rights Act of 2007. She added the law frowns at inhuman behavior against them and called on the government and other players to take the issue seriously and take the message to the rural communities as well. Other speakers made meaningful contributions to the program. It is worthy to note that autism can happen to anyone, but if their talents are developed, they can contribute to the society positively. SLBC News, Joseph Ture, Freetown.
The Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority has sensitized road users at Jue and Texaco in the eastern parts of Freetown. The two places were identified for sensitization because of the numerous activities that take place either on the road or close to the road. Francis Danema reports.
Texaco and Jue are two places in the eastern part of Freetown that have huge number of traders running after vehicles to sell their goods. Passengers either running after vehicles to get transported or stand on the main road to get vehicles. Children also use these areas to cross the road. To ensure that these people know how to use the road correctly, SLRSA embarked on this sensitization. Zonal Commanding Officer, Zone 1, Western Area, SLRSA Victor Koba called on vehicle owners to replace all metal seats with the standard ones. Pedestrians to walk against the traffic, avoid using headphones when on the road, and encourage children to stop playing football on the road. He advised traders to stop trading on footpaths, stop displaying their products on the road, and stop depositing garbage in the drainage. Victor Koba warned passengers to stop depositing garbage on the streets whilst in the vehicle and encouraged them to resist overloading from drivers and never to disturb drivers when they are driving. Talking to the drivers, Victor Koba said they should not drink alcohol whilst driving. If they would want to always return home safe, consider other road users and that they should not overload their vehicles. SLBC News, Francis Ndanema reporting.
The Ministry of Youth Affairs has held a consultative forum for stakeholders in the fishing industry. The engagement was held to enhance community ownership and get recommendations for the procurement and specifications of fish boats for youths in Fisheries project. Ibrahim Samoa has more.
The consultative engagement brought together beneficiaries of the Youth in Fisheries projects to get their inputs and the specifications of the fishing gears and boats to be procured for the successful implementation of the Youth in Fisheries projects. The project manager Youth in Fisheries project, Joseph Mada Lahai, in the Ministry of Youth Affairs, said the ministry is preparing to procure fishing boats and its accessories for youth in living in coastal communities to improve their livelihood.
The Youth in Fisheries project geared towards making young men and women living in coastal communities economically viable. That's the primary objective of the Youth in Fisheries project. How we can engage, we empower, employ young men and women living in 7 coastal communities nationwide: Bont, Moyamba, Pujam, Cambia, Puloko, Western Area, Rural and Urban.
He said the past government failed to fully involve beneficiaries in planning the project, noting that this time the government believe in community ownership and their full participation in the planning and implementation of the project. He said the Youth in Fisheries project was launched in 2014 to support the government's agenda in reducing the unemployment rate within the youth sector residing in coastal communities. He said the project will also promote self-reliance as well as increasing nutritional status of the country.
The package, they will get a boat, a standard size boat that the district will recommend this time around. It will not be what happened last implementation. This time around, we'll construct this boat in the various districts. That is one. We'll fix an outboard engine that will be recommended again from them, with all its fishing accessories ranging from cog, lead, compass, that I'm sure at the end of the day, if you recommend what you want, you will use it for its intended purposes. I will not give you a boat when you are not a fisherman, because you had testimonies, the district master fishermen saying people have boats in various districts, they don't even have use of it. Some will sell it for other reasons.
Director of Youth, Ministry of Youth Affairs, Charles Moiner, underscored the importance of the dialogue, commending the new project manager for consulting with the beneficiaries before implementation. He spoke about the advantage of proper planning and called for the total commitment of all players in the fishing industry to avoid another failure of the project implementation. Assistant Director of Fisheries in the Ministry of Fisheries, Lahai Sisi, said 80% of the country's protein comes from fish and pledged his ministry's support to the successful implementation of the project. He used the occasion to explain the importance of the 1-month close season campaign, which he said is to have more fish stock. Representative from the Artisanal Fishing Consortium and the National Fisherman lauded the new project manager of the Youth in Fisheries project for involving them in the preparation ahead of the project implementation. They registered unflinching support towards implementation of the project, noting that they have 12,000 boats in the country and advised that assorted machines should be procured. The need for effective monitoring of the project came out prominently from various speakers.
This is Newshour live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. We continue with more stories making the news. The Institute of Governance and Reforms has awarded 5 Sierra Leoneans for their exemplary role and contribution towards democracy in Sierra Leone. The Democracy Award was part of the Institute's 5th anniversary celebration cocktail held at the Hub Restaurant, Wilberforce. Doreen Barry has the story.
As the Institute of Governance Reforms clocks 5 since its inception, 5 Sierra Leoneans have been awarded for their outstanding role and performance on the promotion of democracy. These 5 awardees were former Vice President Solomon Ekuma Berewa, who was recognized for his exemplary role in politics and private life, whilst late Justice Edmund Kawan, Dr. Kadisise, former minister and running mate for the SLPP, Zainab Awa Bangura, former minister, were recognized for the role they played in governance. Chief Shebora Kasanga II bags an award for his service as an advocate on peace and national cohesion. Board chairman of the Institute of Good Governance Reforms, Dr. Memunatu Pratt, said that the Institute of Governance Reforms was set up to change the dynamics of governance through research and fact findings. She disclosed that huge gaps and lack of credibility with factual findings on corruption, education, health and security attracted them to establish such an institution. She said that their vision is to strengthen and promote democracy and gender equality. She spoke of their determination and commitment to work with appropriate parties for the promotion of good governance and democracy. The Executive Director of Institute of Governance Reforms, Andrew Lavalley, said that 5 years ago, IGR was born to promote good governance, accountability and transparency. He said that he saw the need to award deserving Sierra Leoneans during their 5th year anniversary.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Jacob Jusu-Safa, has presented the forensic audit report to journalists and heads of ministries, departments and agencies. According to the report, over $1 billion was not properly accounted for. Francis Tanema reports.
The forensic auditing was done as part of the recommendations made by the Government Transition Team report that was published last year. The Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Jacob Jusu-Safa, said the audit was done by 50 independent auditors drawn largely from Ghana, Kenya and Tanzania. He said independent people were involved in the auditing to avoid being accused by the opposition of witch hunting them.
A special audit requested by the Ministry of Finance on behalf of government in line with the GT2 report. We didn't take a look at all the sectors because we thought that we are, not that we were not critical, but we thought it makes meaning to look at high spending areas. So the audit was restricted to 4 areas: roads, infrastructure, the works yards. How was it called? Works yard or what's called? Works yard. Works yard, yeah. You know, that is number one, because we know a lot of money was spent. The energy sector. I saw a post, maybe there was an additional, there was an error in addition, but the latest figure ECA authoritatively give how many other figures indicate that an amount slightly over $1 billion, $1 billion is detected to cartel awareness.
Minister of Information and Communications, Mohammed Rahman Swari, said President Bio allowed such auditing to take place to fulfill his commitment to fighting corruption. He said the report will serve as a guide that will prevent the current government from going into such practices. The National Publicity Secretary of the Opposition All People's Congress, Cornelius Devoe, described the report as a deliberate attempt by the government to divert the public's attention from talking about SLPP's 1 year in office.
This report is just another gimmick of the ruling SLPP in their continued effort to paint a negative picture of the APC, but most particularly, it is a deliberate effort on the part of this government to divert public discourse, public attention from their failed 1 year in office.
He said the SLPP has accused them of corruption, but they have not proven any APC member guilty of corruption. He said those that are refunding monies to ACC for corrupt practices are not APC officials, but technical officials who were employed by his government using the correct method. Executive Director, Campaign for Good Governance, Marcela Samba Sise, called on the current government to put measures in place to avoid getting such reports in the future.
Things that were put on the table, there were 50 auditors, professional background, civil engineers, IT technical people. I think what we need to understand that if we have external people coming in, it gives confidence on the quality of the report on the table, but we should also think that this is really creating a situation to put our indicators of fragility high, because this report does not send a good picture of Sierra Leone in any way. So our fragility indicators have gone high, and it is really worrying.
She advised everybody not to look at the report with a political lens. SLBC News, Francis Ndanema reporting.
2 bankers from separate banks in Sierra Leone have made their first appearances at Commission 67, presided over by Justice William Atuguba. Soiva Samuel was there and has more on the proceedings.
Morrison Conte, the Director of Risk Management at the Rokel Commercial Bank, confirmed that he did receive a request of 30 billion leones loan from the Road Maintenance Fund Administration, RMFA, and which he processed. The director said he later made necessary recommendations and gave guidelines to RMFA on the requirements that they should meet before acquiring the loan. He further informed the Commission that he requested approval from the Road Maintenance Fund Administration Board, a letter from the Minister of Finance, and a resolution from RMFA Board, all of which were produced. The credit team of Rokel Commercial Bank, he went on, reviewed the documents and approved 15 billion leones loan after receiving a dispensation letter from the Bank of Sierra Leone. Another witness to appear before Commissioner Tuguba is the Director of Business Development of Commerce and Mortgage Bank, Yusufu Abdul Sila, on the acquisition of a 50 billion leones loan by the Road Maintenance Fund Administration. Commission 67 returns on Monday, 8th April. Soriba Samura, Freetown.
Every year on the 2nd of April, World Autism Day is recognized, thereby encouraging member states of the United Nations to take measures to raise awareness about people with autism spectrum disorder throughout the world. Autism is a neural-brain damage condition that exists in people at childbirth, resulting in them to encounter difficulty in speech and behavioral patterns different from a normal child or human being. They are often referred to in our local parlance as aflaung, believing that their condition is caused by demonic spirits or cultism. They are rejected, denied of every right, and deprived of freedom to associate. Hawa Bari has more.
1, 2, 3, go!
It's past 10 a.m. and these kids have started their daily routine in this special school. This is the first ever school in Sierra Leone where they cater for autistic children. The idea was born when Mary Penn Timothy came from the UK to settle in Sierra Leone, but could not get a school that caters for children with specific needs.
Come to Sierra Leone a few years back with my eldest child and struggled to get to school for her. So no school really accepted her. And realizing there was no facility that would be able to meet her needs, of course as a parent you feel down. So I went back to England and then just several years later I came back again with her, obviously the whole time knowing that there was the need for this.
Children like these are either locked up in homes where families or neighbors are unaware they exist or are left roaming the streets. This is because of the stigma attached to them. Autism is a neural brain damage condition that exists in people at childbirth, resulting in them encountering difficulty in speech and behavioral patterns different from the normal child or human being. They are often referred to in our local parlance as aflaung, believing that their condition is caused by demonic spirits or occultism.
Autism is a condition that is characterized by social interaction, inability to interact well with your environment or your fellow men, and it has this repetitive kind of behavior, and also inability to speak well. Some of them can completely lose their speech. Some of them can only blab some few words. These are the three main things we look at for us to say this child is autistic, coupled with other factors or other things that information that we might get from the mother.
Alice Brown, a co-founder of the school, is well experienced in dealing with autistic children. Alice thinks constant engagement with the kids and their parents will help reduce the stigma associated with them.
Having a child with a disability is difficult. I don't think anyone prays and asks God for a child, give me a child with disability. But obviously God has his own reason for giving each individual the type of child that they have. So for a lot of parents, of course, it's very difficult to accept. Whereas you may have some that may accept it sooner, and you may have some that may be in denial as well. So again, all of that encompasses on that parent support, where you have parents that they have kids here, and then you have parents that just come, but they're coming for a reason as well. So try to get them to that point where they will be able to accept that, okay, this is what's happening with my child.
The school is currently run by these two ladies who use their own finances in supporting the school together with other donors who support them in other ways. The Disability Commission is supposed to cater for children with autism. According to the Executive Secretary of the Commission, their mandate is so broad that they deal with pressing issues.
Mandate is so broad that we have to look after not just autistic children, but for the entire people with disability in the country. And then we have meager resources to do that. So we have to prioritize and also look at the immediate needs, given the urgency of the need.
Because of lack of funds, these young people are volunteers who have decided to dedicate their time helping these children with training from a partner school abroad. Sierra Leone has not conducted any research to indicate reasons or causes of autism. However, the doctor seems to know some of the causes of autism in Sierra Leone.
From my experience, talking to some of the parents that came, like when we went to Makeni, a lot of them had stories of being 3 or 4 days in labor. Some of them had stories of my child had multiple convulsions when he was younger. My child was admitted for meningitis, maybe an untreated meningitis or a severe case wherein the brain got damaged. So those can be in Sierra Leone. Some of our factors that we can look at, trauma can also be maybe the child fell when the child was younger and had a very hard hit on the head or something like that.
The Brown Pen Sped School really lays more emphasis on visual learning for these children because almost all of them can't express themselves. Kojo Kwafo is a trained caregiver for autistic children and worked in a home with autistic children for 3 years.
As I said, they are human beings themselves, and they have rights, and we have to protect their rights, and they have to be cared for, because in Sierra Leone they call them fufu or aflao and stuff like that, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. You see, these kids, if anything happens to them whilst they are under your care, you'll be taken to court and there are penalties for it. If something as small as a scratch on their skin, because they have doctors who come in to examine them, something as small as a scratch on the skin, you're in big trouble. So that's why they also put people through training. Before you go and work with children with autism, you have to go through training. They have the control and restraint course and negotiation skills course, which helps you to be able to talk to them, because they could be very difficult to work with and very challenging to work with. So you have to have the required skills to be able to communicate with them.
Some of the parents of these children do not want to be identified because of fear of stigma and provocation by community members. That is why some of the phases of these children, some people don't see the need of enrolling them into a school.
Disability issues in any easy. No parent carer wants to be caring 24 hours a day or a good deal of their day for maybe a child of 16 that should be doing a lot for themselves. But actually it happens to some of us, and what do? But actually what we've seen in other parts of the world is when you put the right interventions, the right strategies to kids with cognitive issues, in fact any kid, any child with special needs, when you use the right approach, you will see that child, even if it's not academically, but the self-help skills, that child will gain something from that, because as you rightly said, we will get old as parents, as carers, but you want the child to be able to do some things for themselves. So when you're not around, that child at least will have some independence.
For this type of illness, Major Dr. Rogers thinks early detection can help improve the ability of the child.
So if this child, you notice at age 1 year, certain things he's not doing properly, he's not doing it compared to the same 1 year old, I mean another child of the same age, then you show some concern, come to the hospital. It's because if we catch them as young as that and we start developing, we start helping them, like I told you, we have different departments that helps, the physiotherapist, the speech therapist, the physio is for some of them that cannot walk, yes, the physio, and the speech, we have speech therapists that will come in and help them. There are a lot of other areas people can come in and help them, and gradually you can see improvement.
The school can only make do with these basic facilities for now because they lack space and are being housed for a while in this building in the east, which makes it challenging for more children to be enrolled in this school. Reporting for SLBC, Hawabai.
The Environmental Protection Agency, WOL UK and UK-AID have started a 2-day training on the first Environmental Law Conference in Sierra Leone. The theme of the conference is Improving Environmental Compliance in Sierra Leone, addressing the challenges of monitoring and regulatory enforcement for sustainable development. The conference, which took place at Golden Tulip, King Bima Hotel, saw in attendance development partners in the environmental sector. For more on this, let's join Malama Suma.
The importance of environmental sustainability, sustainable development and roles of institutions to achieving the development paradigm needs to be emphasized. Environmental sustainability is the maintenance of the natural capital in the form of natural resources to support the social and economic demands of both present and future generations. Executive Chairman, Environment Protection Agency, Professor Fodemoriba Jawad, said the importance of this conference is to bring key stakeholders in the environmental sector to discuss the numerous challenges facing the monitoring and regulatory enforcement of the environmental rule of law. He continued that the conference will help them develop and adopt sector policy guidelines that will promote effective synergies between and among MDAs for sound environmental management that will promote inclusive socio-economic growth.
Let's change this narrative by making profound changes in our lifestyles, our models of production and consumption, changes in the ways our institutions, especially those in the environmental sector, implement environmental rule of law. The government of Sierra Leone has demonstrated commitment to ensure that the legislative and regulatory framework is in place to promote environmental sustainability and sustainable development.
Keynote speaker, Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Priscilla Schwartz, thanked APA and partners for organizing such conference on environmental sustainability. As she said, this would not have been possible without their support. She furthered that the climate system in the country has changed as she highlighted the recent heavy downpour of rain, the country becoming very warm, all of which she said is happening as a result of our activities in the country.
On the part of the government, let me assure you that we shall be part of all global efforts to ensure that we reverse the trends. In particular, we shall take active role in the implementation of multilateral environmental agreements. At the national level, we shall ensure that all national institutions relevant to the domestication of MEAs do so with urgency and cooperation between and among them. And that is the synergy that the Director General was speaking to in his opening remarks.
Chairman of the conference, Honorable Member of Parliament, Quintin Salia Kone, said for far too long now the country has been fighting against climate change, but that can be only successful if these MDAs synchronize their efforts. He asked EPA to do a follow-up study on the action point that will be taken after the conference and that all participants pay attention and make their contributions in achieving the fight against climate change. A session on the 11-year challenge is visiting the environment in SDGs from fragility to resilience, best practice and new approaches to environmental compliance, overview of environment monitoring and compliance in Sierra Leone, gaps and challenges formed part of the training session. SLBC News, Maria Masuma reporting.
The Sierra Leone Electricity and Water Regulatory Commission, in collaboration with the Millennium Challenge Coordinating Unit, has held a day public consultation on the draft of electricity and water regulations. This event took place at the Atlantic Hall at the Sheikh Stevens Stadium. Shella Beful has the story.
The Sierra Leone Electricity and Water Regulatory Commission was established by an Act of Parliament in 2011 to regulate the utility service providers in the electricity and water sectors, and their mission is to regulate the electricity and water industries in accordance with government laws and policies, standards, and international best practice in support of sustainable and orderly development. Director General for the Electricity and Water Regulatory Commission, Dr. Emmanuel Mana, said one of their functions is to monitor standards of performance for the provision of electricity and water services, and also to provide guidelines on the rates chargeable for the provision of electricity and water services, and also speak about 16 regulations the Commission has.
One of the regulations we develop is around electricity, which is the quality of electricity supply. That will have to deal with the service standard and quality. It also have to deal with the technical operational codes in the electricity sector. We'll have to talk about voltage, ABCD. We also have the electricity distribution supply, consumer service regulation, the obligations of the utilities to our consumers.
Head of Engineering, Electricity and Water Regulatory Commission, Kelsey Sisse, in his presentations of the draft regulations for public consultation, highlights as electricity and water license regulations, license terms and consultation, tariff guidelines of the Sierra Leone Electricity and Water Regulatory Commission, electricity and water service provider reporting rules, and also the electricity and water compliance handling procedures. SLBC Sheila Reful.
And now in the world of sports, we join Frances Barnard.
For the latest in sports, the finals of the World Comeback Junior Tennis Tournament organized by the Sierra Leone Lawn Tennis Association has ended at the Hill Station Tennis Court in Freetown. The Under-12 and 14 Junior Championship saw senior tennis officials in attendance. Esther Marisama has more.
These junior players represented Sierra Leone in the 2019 Under-12 Central and West African International Tennis Federation competition in Benin. On their return, the president of the Sierra Leone Lawn Tennis Association, Kelvin Ezekiel Kelly, and his executive organized this championship in appreciation of the team's performance in Benin. In the Under-14 boys final, Tamba Boy defeated reigning champion Maurice Kamara by a tie-break of 2, followed by an outstanding performance from Tatu Conte in the girls category, who defeated her opponent Maya Makamara 6-1, 6-2. In the Under-12 girls final, Beshe Dauda had an overwhelming win against Mese Conte in the best of 9. The atmosphere was one of excitement, as was exhibited by the president Kelvin Ezekiel Kelly.
Driven by the passion and the commitment of the executive and the support of the Tennis Association and stakeholders like yourself. That's what's driving us to make tournaments like this, and we're going to have this every month.
Tatu Conte and Tamba Boy, champions of the Under-14 boys and girls final, said the victory was as a result of their skillfulness and consistent training. Trophies.
I tried and I trained for this particular competition. It was not easy because I am the captain, I am the Under-12 champion. Although the supporters were supporting against me, but I thank God I came up with victory.
I've been training effectively and I've won the championship.
Trophies were distributed to the winners and Maurice Kamara was awarded Player of the Competition. Esther Marie Samora, SLBC.
Well, from tennis, we now bring you update of the Australian Premier League as it has all ended at the Circus Stephen Stadium Mainbow, where Port Authority defeated Old Edwardian by 2-0. And on Friday, Diamond Stars will play host to St. Paris here in Freetown, and on Saturday it will be between Bow Rangers and Mighty Blackpool. And for the English Premier League, Tottenham defeated Cardiff by 2-0 at their stadium. You know, they have just renovated their stadium and it's a very new one, and they won their first match at that particular venue. For the English Premier League table, quickly we bring you the table as Manchester City, they are leading the table with 80 points, followed by Liverpool in second, 79 points, Tottenham 64, Arsenal in fourth place 63, Chelsea 63, and Manchester United in sixth place with 61 points. Well, from that we'll bring the cutting down for sports update on Newshour. I am Francis Bernard.
And now for some African news. A woman has given birth in a mango tree while escaping floods in central Mozambique caused by Cyclone Idai. Single mother Amelia delivered her daughter Sarah whilst clinging to the branches with her 2-year-old son. The family was rescued 2 days later by neighbors following storms that have killed more than 700 people. It comes nearly 20 years after another miracle baby, Rosita Mabulango, was born up a tree during floods in southern Mozambique. Algerians took to the streets of the capital to celebrate the resignation of President Abdelaziz Bouteflika. After weeks of mass protests, Mr. Bouteflika had dropped plans to seek a 5th term as the opposition to his rule grew. The 82-year-old leader has been in power for 20 years. The Ugandan authorities say an American tourist and a Ugandan driver have been kidnapped by gunmen in one of the country's most popular national parks. The government says 4 armed men staged an ambush on Tuesday in Queen Elizabeth National Park, close to the border with the Democratic Republic of Congo, where many rebel groups were active. It says 4 other tourists who were present when the gunmen attacked were unarmed and are safe. A spokesman said the Ugandan police, army and wildlife officials are working together to try to locate and free the 2 hostages. And now for some entertainment news. Young female singers in Sierra Leone are taking the center stage in the entertainment industry in order to help improve the slow growth in the industry. Damaris Conte is one of those young, talented and active artists that is showcasing herself. She came to our broadcasting house where our entertainment producer Mohamed King Milan Bangura engaged her on her musical career and the release of her 2 new music videos.
Young female singers in Sierra Leone are taking the center stage in the music industry in order to help improve the slow growth of the industry. Damaris Conte is one of those young, talented and active artists that are showcasing themselves in the industry. Damaris Conte is a singer, though young but yet not a stranger, as she has been in the business for a couple of years now. Damaris was born in the eastern part of Freetown and attended the UMC Primary School Kisi, Government Model Secondary School, and later the MABEX College of Finance and Management, where she studied business administration. In her childhood days, she always wanted to be an accountant and never had the intention of becoming an artist, but was later introduced into the industry by her uncle. Damaris says she has been into the acting since she was a kid, and that helps her a lot as an artist. She said as a young kid, she has the opportunity of meeting with various Sierra Leonean artists, which gave her the motivation of going into the music industry.
To end the news, the main points. Police has discovered the remains of a person suspected to be a Sierra Leonean American citizen, Massa Kaikai. Commissioner Biobel George Will has ordered 5 officials of the Youth Ministry to appear before his commission. First accused in the ongoing court-martial trial has entered into the 3rd week of his testimony before a 6-member panel of senior military personnel and the judge advocate. And Sierra Leone Autistic Society has showcased the abilities of children with autism. That's the end of the news. I am Zulatu Hamid. Thanks for watching. Good night.